Welcome. I'm Jason Hill.
I'm James Blackburn.
And I'm Danny Lenski.
And this is, keep playing.
I'll bring it back out
No
later.
Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
Oh, I'm the singer and I don't want to.
This is the musical episode.
Yes.
And this week's episode is going to be on finding food. And so in our first segment, we kind of briefly go over why it's so important to either have the knowledge or the skills to find food.
Well, as far as finding food, you can think, just harken back to humanity's earliest days. You have hunters, gatherers, and so it's, finding food isn't just finding plants, it's also knowing the animals around that you yourself are able to hunt.
Very
That's
true.
it.
Matter of fact, I wrote a little song about it.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Well,
Which is
already
why I
busting
put
that
the
back.
guitar away so I could have an excuse to bring it back out.
Okay.
All right, it goes a little something like this. Okay, thank you.
That was moving.
Yeah, that was the best song I've ever written. Thank you kindly.
You're a scholar.
So let's get back to types of food. What do you think about that?
Well, there's obviously animals, and so in our area, I think about rabbits, snakes, fish,
Squirrels.
deer, squirrels, bugs, insects.
Yeah, we've all seen the shows where eating
Worms.
a slug or a worm
Yeah.
is acceptable way for nutrition. Obviously, it may not taste so good, but
It'll keep you alive.
yeah, exactly. Have you ever eaten one, Jason?
I have, yeah. Worms. I've eaten worms, bugs, grasshoppers,
Nice.
and they taste pretty nasty. But you know what?
But you gotta do what you gotta do.
In a survival
Yeah.
situation. So.
Well, and you might also, you can be around 100 elk, but if you don't have the means to hunt it or know how to hunt it, the way I was taught, more importantly, if you don't know how to properly dress it afterwards, it's just as if you didn't have the skills at all or if the animal wasn't even there. So.
Yeah, all these things tie together, and again, it goes to educating yourself. This show is just kind of a jump-off point where we cover some basics, but then you got to go out and get more knowledge about
your
these
hands
things
dirty.
because there's too much to possibly
Yeah.
cover.
Well, and even on previous episodes, we said the knowledge is out there on the internet. If you don't have internet, there's tons of books and libraries that still exist in this country. So get out there and learn some more, right?
That's it. So besides animals, you also have the plant kingdom for all those people who maybe not have the skills. So then what's in your area? What can you eat, foraging through the woods or in your neighborhood?
Right.
Well, and it's, again, especially if you've just moved to an area, you might think, all right, well, I know that acorns you can eat but you have to cook them a little bit. But then when you're in the Southwest, when there are no acorn trees, you might then learn that yucca blossoms are edible. But then obviously you have to wait till they're in bloom.
Which leads to seasons. Again, both with animals and with plants, in wintertime, they're normally a lot more scarce. And so depending on the season, and I guarantee that whatever natural disaster you're planning for, it'll hit in the worst possible
the worst
time.
possible time.
Yeah.
And it'll make things even more worse. So
Well, something as far as mentioning the season as well, just touching on something other than plants and animals is like honey is a great example. And bees store more honey than they can possibly use over the winter, and it's a fact. So if you worry, I'm going to kill all the bees by taking their honey, if you end up harvesting in the wintertime, you're much more, I guess, able to set your worries aside. So.
Very
Yeah.
true. And honey is one of those magical things that is so nutritious and so good. And we don't make it. The bees make it for us.
And
I mean,
it doesn't
it's
go
amazing.
bad. I love honey.
Yes.
It also has some healing properties. When we come back, we're going to have a guest speaker, and he'll be able to elaborate on that. But honey net doesn't spoil. It just lasts forever.
That's true.
Longer than our lifetime, that's for sure.
Like cookies.
And it tastes yummy. With some
Yes, it
toast
does.
Yes,
and
it
butter.
does.
Yes, honey goes
Well,
good on just about
And you
everything.
can also eat the honeycomb as well. There's different ways of having honey. But I imagine our guests will talk about anything and everything, plants and animals.
That's right. So stay tuned. When we come back from the break, we're going to go more in depth about how you can find food in case of a natural disaster.
It's going to be great.
I love the breeze, by the way.
I know.
Thanks, guys.
Play us a song.
Yeah. Play it.
Let's hear it.
Outro songs. Here we go. Ready and...
Howdy, and welcome back to No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
I'm Jason,
And I'm James.
and this week's episode we're talking about how to find food, and that includes not only animals or game,
Yep.
wild plants and herbs, insects, honey.
Yep,
all
there's a
kinds of
whole
good stuff.
variety of stuff, which brings us up to our guest.
Yes, we have a guest speaker, and so we can holler for Danny to bring him in, and then he can elaborate on some of these things.
Hello.
Danny!
Ah, all right. Well, we have our guest. This is Dave Perry, and
Hello, guys.
Welcome,
touch
Dave.
this bit. I'm sorry. I just
okay.
wanted to get to
Are
know
you guys dancing or what?
I apparently am. I need to finish the beginner's box. I think I'm everywhere today. I
Thanks.
will see you shortly.
All right,
See you.
thank you,
Thanks,
Danny.
Danny.
And why don't you go ahead and tell everyone your name and a little bit about yourself.
All right. My name is Dave Perry. I am a local herbalist. I've been working with plants for both food and medicine for about the last 12 years. And for more information about what I'm doing, because I do lead local walks to teach people about plants, my website is www.creativepreppers.com.
CreativePreppers.com.
Very cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the apocalypse hits, I'm at Dave's house. So everyone will come
Well, we'll
to my
head
house.
to the hills and we'll go find plants up in the hills.
So, we're talking about, let's touch on the animals and local game and things like that. Do you have any thoughts on that? What's available in this area or what's good to eat?
Well, so now there may be a lot more available than I think. If there's a real crisis, that's the first thing people are going to look for. They're going to go try and hunt squirrels and rabbits. And I think that population is going to be decimated. But, there's still some be available. So you'll want to either know how to build a snare trap, or you're more than likely not going to want to be pulling out a gun and shooting things, because that's going to draw attention to yourself.
Yeah.
So some small traps, which we want to look at in the
Beginner's box.
in the beginner's box. And you can have those stored away and bring them out and use them for catching small animals.
And
Yeah.
what about different types of edible plants that exist, in pretty much anywhere, but in particular where we're at?
Right. So in our area, it's a varied area. So you have real dry areas. There's some areas where you may have some natural springs. So you'll find some things like mint. There's some peppermint, spearmint growing up in the hills. Cactus blooms. You can eat the fruit off the cactus. There's also a lot of old homesteads where they planted apple trees, apricots, and you can find those up in the mountains if you know where to look.
Nice. Yeah, forage around and find some of that stuff.
Right.
And that cactus fruit, like in our area, that's real popular. People make jellies out of that. So they
Right.
could reference our canning and preserving episode and make some cactus jelly.
Yeah.
Now, on the cactus, on the fruit part, obviously that's edible, but what about the prickly pear pad itself? I see those in the store as well.
Right. So you can, once you get the spines off of them, you can either scrape them or cook them, put them in
Fire.
some hot water or fire. Yeah.
Burn them off.
Yeah. You scrape off the outer skin and the inner skin. It is edible. You don't want to eat too much of it. But it's also used as you can use it as a poultice for skin rashes or cuts or things like that. So it's something similar to aloe vera, which you might find.
Nice, so it has a double purpose in a lot of ways.
Nice.
Right. And you'll
So-
find a lot of plants have that
Cool.
capability.
Pine needle seems to be a popular one, and dandelions, things that people have heard of. What are your thoughts on those?
Pine needles are a great source of vitamin C.
Okay.
So you can pull them off the branch. The best ones are where they're a light green. They're just coming out like in the springtime. But really throughout the year, you can use them, put them in a cup and pour hot water on them and just make tea. So
Throw in
that's-
some of that mint, and
Yeah.
you
you
got
got
a
something
nice little-
tasty.
Right.
So have you drank some of the pine needle broth, or whatever you would call it? I mean, what does it taste like? Does it taste like how a pine tree smells?
Yeah. It has a somewhat minty taste, but also because it smells kind of like pine sol, you know, a cleaning solution.
That's where you want to find some stevia, the natural sugar, and throw that in there.
But
Flavor it
yeah,
up a
back
little
to
bit.
your mints. Throw a little extra mint in there, and that'll help make it a little bit more palatable.
Nice.
Nice, very cool. We should go try that when we go camping.
Yeah, we need to do a foraging.
Foraging episode, yeah, that'd be great.
And so those plants, some of them also can be used for medicines as well.
Right.
which
You
kind of serve
mentioned
a dual
dandelion,
purpose.
and that's one of the great plants because you can use all parts of it: the root, the leaf, the flower, the stem. It's good for putting in salads, so you can add to your eating it. It brings up minerals from the ground, so it's a good source of natural minerals. And it's also good for digestion. So people make wine out of it, dandelion wine, you've heard of that?
Yeah.
But dandelion tea, and those are both good for if you have indigestion, stomach upset, you know, it'll help with that.
And dandelions seem to be a common plant all around the country, right? I mean, every
does.
state I've ever been in, I've experienced them there. Now, on the dandelion, is there a certain part you should eat, or can you eat the whole thing?
You can eat the whole thing.
Roots and all?
Roots and all. Roots have been used as a coffee substitute, along with chicory. So they'll pull the roots out, dry them, cut them up, and then use it in a tea or a coffee type drink.
Now, we touched on this in the first segment. Depending on the weather, you know, the season, even your location,
Right.
game and or plants may not even be available. And so it kind of harkens back to the days where, you know, we lived off the land and you had goats and chickens and you had your own livestock, you made cheese and butter and, you know, it was all done on the farm. You had it yourself. You grew your own crops, you canned them for the winter, things like that. What might be something that you could grow fairly quickly? Because if it's the middle of the winter, obviously I can't just run outside and grow crops.
Right. Well, one of the things that most people don't think about, when they think seeds, you got to put them in the ground and let them grow, and it'll take weeks or months. We can actually sprout seeds, and within 3 to 5 days, you've got something that's edible, like alfalfa sprouts that they put on sandwiches.
Nice.
You know, that's
Those are good.
something quick, good, give you vitamin C, and help fill up your stomach, you know, if you don't have a lot of food.
Sweet.
Well, excellent.
Well, you know, we can go into a little bit more detail. I know you have some items in the beginner's box that you brought. So let's go ahead and bring Danny out and we
Yeah.
can go through those.
Danny.
Sounds good.
Oh, and she must have been eavesdropping.
I
because-
was. I do that.
And I didn't get to call you. I was like, my Danny, Danny.
Oh, hang on. Let's try it again. Hang on.
Danny!
Oh,
Beginner's box, beginner's box.
All right. So we have the beginner's box. So something to kind of touch on first up, I'm going to kind of go and pull all of these out at once here. But we have different books here. I mean, again, education is everything. You can have a book on, this one here is about herbal medicine of the Southwest. Again, you want to make sure that you have something that's in your area so you can educate yourself. Then you have medicinal plants of the Mountain West, actually.
This author, Michael Moore, is very well known for his knowledge of plants in the Southwest. So
Okay.
if
He
you're
knows his
living in
stuff.
this area, I would say you need that on your bookshelf.
Nice. Ah, this one, a really great one. And it's nice, short, concise, edible wild plants.
Right.
That way you can just kind of take quick thumb through. That way if you're camping elsewhere.
Let me show you something about this. What I do is I put plants inside of these. So
Smart idea.
I find the particular plant, the picture, and I take a sample and put it dried in. It'll dry in there.
Very cool, yeah.
Practice
Way
and
easier to
education.
identify when you already
Exactly.
have one.
Then, ooh, that one's actually very specific there for our area.
Right.
Just a lot more of the same. this guy here that's bursting out of my box, I am actually not sure of what this is, so I'm going to turn this over to you if you want
Okay,
to.
so this is
let us
called
know.
a survival seed bank. Inside, so this is waterproof. You can seal it up, make it airtight, so the seeds would last a long time in there. And these seeds, like this is an eggplant seed, so this is hermetically sealed. Seeds will generally last in a dry, cool area 3 to 5 years. You don't put these things away for 20 years because then they're not going to grow. But think about that. 3 to 5 years, you got to plant these and then collect the seeds from them and just keep propagating, keep
Well,
growing.
and this is nice because then you know exactly where your stuff is. You don't think, oh, I'm going to put my seeds up here today. I'm going to put my seeds
Right.
over here today.
They're all together in
And
one
the
place.
other nice things are fairly inexpensive, and you can get a wide variety.
Right.
So
Yeah,
you
that's
wanna have
really
it.
cool.
So this, actually, as we just had an episode on canning, and you can tell this has been properly canned. This is wormwood, and I am not nearly as familiar with wormwood as I know that you are, so.
Really, not
Take
at
it away,
all,
Dave.
huh? So you'll see this a liquid in here. This is called a tincture. And what we did was we filled this jar up with wormwood, which grows in the local mountains here. And you pour in alcohol. Usually you want something like 80 proof or so. You let it set for 4 to 6 weeks. And what the alcohol does is it extract out the chemical constituents and the
goodness.
things that you want in it.
Right.
All
then
your
you strain it out.
scientific terms.
That's what
Yes.
alcohol
The goodness.
does, takes out the goodness.
Goodness, yeah.
And wormwood, as you might guess, is actually good for intestinal worms. So
Oh.
if you have,
Hence the name.
yeah, hence that's the common name.
So we have
cool.
a few other items, and this one, actually, this and this are both the same, and this is also good for.
It's a tincture.
It's another tincture.
Yeah, this is another tincture, and this is how you'd normally see them stored in a stopper bottle. So what you do is you take, fill up the
Well, and when we
filler.
Yeah, and I apologize, but when we come back, we're gonna have us a little contest. We're gonna watch a quick video, and we might be able to touch on this again. So thank you very much. And
We'll see you in a little bit. So this is just more seeds.
those are the
Right.
sprouts. Hi there. Now you may find yourself in a survival situation where you're going to have to find something to eat because you have no food. Now depending on what region of the country you are, there's a lot of different types of edible plants that you can in fact eat. Right now I'm going to demonstrate a dandelion. Dandelion is very common for the parts that you can eat on it. The leaves you can make like a salad. I believe you can boil them, but you can also eat these little yellow tops. But it's very critical whenever you are eating things that are out in the wild that you can correctly identify them 100%, and so that you're not taking any chances. Raspberries, wild strawberries, things like that, those are also really good. But this little top here is completely edible. And because I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat a bunch of them. It's kind of fragrant, a little tangy flavor, but it's not bad. You could actually eat a bunch of these. And yeah. I hear they go really good with ranch dressing, but I don't have any, so. That one. So anyway, the demonstration is just to show you that if you can correctly identify these items, that might just save your life. So learn your local plants. There's lots of professionals in your area that will be willing to teach, and may just save your life. Thanks a lot. Welcome back to No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
He's James.
He's Jason.
He's Dave.
And she is Danny.
Hey, that actually worked. Yeah, that was kind of a funny little video eating some dandelions.
Yeah, that
And
was great.
we touched on it a little bit, but do you want to go into a little more depth about those? Because they're really common.
They are common, and we were talking a little while ago about how common and widespread they are because they'll take any disturbed soil. And the reason is they're called a dynamic accumulator. So they pull minerals and stuff out of the soil.
Wow.
Say that
That's what
3
makes
times
them good.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait.
Dynamic accumulator. Fantastic. But so is it common to cook them or eat them raw or?
People do them both ways.
Yeah.
You can fry up the flowers as you were eating them, and you can pull the leaves off and put them in with a salad to give it a little extra tangy taste with normal lettuce.
Nice.
Well, and there are a number of festivals, actually, dandelion festivals. I think the largest one is in West Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. And the saying be, if you can't beat 'em, eat 'em, because they do grow everywhere.
Right.
And so,
They probably have hundreds of ways
Yep.
of fixing dandelion.
That's true. A lot of
Nice.
people look at a dandelion as a weed, but really it's very edible
Yep.
and it's not a weed at all.
Can you go into real quick these sprouts? You were talking about those.
Yeah.
And how long do those take to grow again?
3 to 5 days.
3 to 5 days.
3 days you can have
Dang.
something to eat. This particular one is called a protein powerhouse sprouting blend. So it's got like a
Sounds
zucchini
amazing.
bean, garbanzo, mung beans. So you think about
wow.
animals having protein, but you can actually get some protein from seeds like these.
And that's and just drop them in water and stick them in the windowsill, right?
Right?
That's amazing. And where can you find these?
Just about any health
Online.
food store.
Yeah.
Health food store.
Health food
Amazon,
stores.
but yeah, health food stores generally carry sprouting seeds for
Wow.
people use them for their salads.
That's pretty cool.
Nice. So for our contest today, you've got some edible plant cards, and you're going to show them to us. Me and James are going to try to guess what they are, what they're used for,
ready.
where they're from, and
I'm going to tally.
you can give points however you feel like.
All right, you ready for your first
Yeah,
card?
let's see it.
Take a look at that.
That is bamboo. It grows in Canada and it's used for making boats.
That
would
looks
be-
like
Okay,
cattails, and it's good for eating and stuff.
I have to give it to Jason.
Yay! I gave you a,
Cattails, exactly what it
Negative
is.
one.
Cattails.
It is, the roots are edible, and the fuzzy things that you see on the top, that's good for insulation. So if
Oh,
you
yeah.
need to keep yourself warm, pull that stuff off and fluff it
Another
out.
great
And
survival
kindling.
tip.
Nice,
Right.
very cool. I was not that far off, I guess.
no, I mean bamboo. You have sugar.
All right, ready for your next one?
Yep.
Here it is.
Good.
Okay, that one is aloe vera, but I knew that from earlier. And it is used for making juice and other things, right?
I think so. Yeah,
Right.
aloe vera. I know you can just break off a little piece and use it to put on a wound. It aids with healing. And I've known it to be good for sunburns as what.
Right, burns, it's great for burns, sunburns, or a hot pot, or a fire burn, things like that.
Nice.
And a lot of people have them just growing ornamentally in their house, so, you know.
And they take very little effort. I have two in my place, so
Nice.
I think maybe both of y'all get one. So I
Yay.
guess now you're no longer in the negative. I gave you a
All
negative.
right,
Bamboo. Come on.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, ready for your next one?
Yeah, and
Well, I think as you're looking at the picture, I'm going to have to let everyone know that if you want to find out more about us, see us on Facebook and at facebook.com/nojokesurvival, or you can visit our website at nojokesurvival.com. I think now we're cheating here. There you can find out more about our episodes. On Facebook, you can ask us specific questions, on where you can find different items. And so, what do we end up finding out on this?
this one
guy?
was thistle.
Thistle.
Yeah, me and James communicated telepathically,
Yeah, we
and we were just confirming
Magic
what
men.
we already knew.
See
Magic
these a lot.
Man.
These are like wild, like dandelions.
Well,
Come back and
come
see
back
us
and
next
see us.
time. Thanks
And
for joining us.
Thank you. So, by 1 point.
Wins again.
And
And some of these other ones right here, we have things falling on the ground.
Oh,
I think I may have wet myself a little bit.
If you're up on a mountain, you may want to go down into a valley, or observe the area. Some lime.
Oh my God, what is that? What is that, dude? I
Probably a Sasquatch. They're all over the place.
This is important. You don't want to wipe your backside with something that might be poisonous.
What you want to do is literally just sit down and listen.
I kind of blew my way through there pretty badly. There was a lot of outtakes. It's back, dude! It's back! Ah! Where is it? There it goes!
That's awesome. You never know what you're going to find in the wild. I love it. Or some sort of area where you're going to find people and be rescued.
Oh, man, that hurts! And now for a blooper.
I literally got ants in my pants. While I was talking, I could feel them crawling down my butt crack.